The ship from Earth moved slowly through the wide hall of stars. It was not large when compared to the great vessels around it. Its shape was simple, its colors calm, and its engines quiet. To many watching from a distance, it looked more like a visitor than a player in the great game of the galaxy. Inside the ship stood Alina Raman, the chosen voice of Earth. She did not wear armor or bright symbols. Her clothes were plain, meant to show respect, not power. She watched the stars pass by the window and took a slow breath. This moment had been prepared for many years, but preparation did not make the weight any lighter. Humanity had finally been invited to the Galactic Council. The council was older than any human nation. Some said it had guided the stars before Earth's first cities were built. It was a place where wars were stopped, borders were drawn, and history was decided with calm words instead of loud force. Or so the stories said. Alina had read those stories many times. Now she would see the truth. The ship arrived at the council station, a massive structure that floated like a shining crown in open space. Rings of light moved around it, carrying ships from thousands of worlds. Alina could not name most of them. Some were smooth and silver, others sharp and dark, others seemed almost alive. Each one carried a civilization that had reached farther than Earth. A soft voice spoke from the ship's system, telling her it was time. Alina walked forward as the doors opened. The air inside the station felt strange but safe. Gravity adjusted under her feet, smooth and steady. She was not alone. Behind her walked a small group of advisors, scientists, and observers. They were quiet, focused, and alert. They were led through long halls made of crystal and metal. The walls showed moving images of stars, planets, and symbols Alina did not understand. She could feel eyes on her from many directions, some curious, some distant, some judging. At last, the doors to the council chamber opened. The chamber was vast. It felt less like a room and more like a sky turned inward. Rows of seats curved around a central space. Each seat was shaped for a different body. Some were tall, some wide, some floating, some rooted to the floor. Lights shifted gently above, changing color as voices spoke. Alina stepped forward. Her footsteps echoed more than she expected. The council speaker, a being called Viral, sat at the highest point. Viral's form was tall and thin, covered in layers that moved like slow water. Many eyes watched from that shape, calm and ancient. "Representatives of Earth," Viral said, voice smooth and clear. "You have been granted audience." Alina bowed her head, as she had been taught. "Thank you, Speaker Viral," she said. "I speak for the people of Earth." A quiet wave moved through the chamber. It was not sound but reaction. Some leaned forward, others turned away. Viral raised one long limb. "State your purpose." Alina lifted her eyes. She had practiced these words many times. Still, her heart beat fast. "Humanity has reached interstellar travel," she said. "We seek recognition as a full member of the Galactic Council. We wish to share knowledge, trade, and responsibility. We do not come as conquerors. We come as partners." For a moment, there was silence. Then the sound came. It began as a low ripple, a clicking sound, a soft hum, a sharp breath that turned into something like laughter. The sound grew. Some council members made noises that matched human laughter closely. Others showed amusement in ways Alina could not fully understand, but the meaning was clear. They were laughing. Alina did not move. She kept her face calm, though her hands felt cold. Viral watched the chamber without emotion. When the noise faded, the speaker spoke again. "Earth," Viral said, "your species is young." Images appeared in the air, charts, numbers, timelines. "Your average lifespan is short. Your political structures are unstable. Your species' history shows constant internal conflict." More images followed. Wars, divisions, borders drawn and redrawn. "You arrived in interstellar space later than most developing civilizations. Your technology is adequate." The word was not an insult, but it was not praise either. "You ask for full membership," Viral continued. "Tell us why you believe you are ready." Alina took a breath. "We are not perfect," she said. "But we learn quickly, we cooperate across differences. We have faced global danger and survived together." A council member to the side made a sharp sound of disbelief. Another spoke, voice deep and slow. "Your world nearly destroyed itself more than once." "Yes," Alina replied, "and we are still here." That caused another ripple of sound, softer this time. Not laughter, something closer to curiosity. Viral leaned forward. Survival alone does not grant wisdom, the speaker said. I agree, Alina answered, but survival teaches lessons no book can. The chamber grew quiet again. Viral raised a limb and the images vanished. After review, Viral said, the council has reached a decision. Alina's advisors stiffened behind her. Humanity will be classified as a developing species, Viral continued. You will be granted advisory access only, no vote, no binding authority. The words landed heavily. You may observe, you may learn. In time, your status may change. Alina closed her eyes for a single second, then she opened them. Thank you for your consideration, she said. That response caused a pause. You accept this decision? Viral asked. Yes, Alina replied, for now. The phrase was simple, but it carried weight. Viral studied her for a long moment. Then this session is concluded. The chamber lights shifted. The meeting was over. As the humans turned to leave, quiet conversation broke out among the council. Alina could feel it again, not laughter this time, but dismissal. As if Earth were a small thing. They walked back through the long halls. No one spoke until they were inside their ship again. Only then did one of the advisors exhale loudly. They laughed, he said. Yes, Alina replied. Are we going to accept that? Another asked. Alina looked at the dark stretch of space ahead. We already did, she said. That was never the real test. She moved to the communication console. A message link opened. The symbol of Earth appeared, simple and blue. Alina spoke calmly. The council does not see us as equals, she said. They see us as children. She paused. That gives us time. She sent the message. Prepare Phase 1. The ship turned away from the shining council station. Behind them, the stars continued their slow dance. And far ahead, humanity began to listen, learn, and plan. The Earthship moved away from the council station and disappeared into open space. From the outside, it looked small and unimportant. From the inside, it was full of quiet thought. Alina Raman sat alone for a long time after the message was sent. She did not celebrate. She did not show anger. She simply watched the stars and let the moment settle. What happened in the council chamber was expected. Humanity had prepared for rejection. What mattered was not the words spoken there, but what came after. On Earth, the message arrived within minutes. In a wide room beneath layers of stone and metal, people from many nations gathered. Some were scientists. Some were economists. Some were engineers, teachers, and planners. They did not wear the same clothes or speak the same first language, but they listened to the same words. Prepare Phase 1. No one asked what that meant. They already knew. Phase 1 was not about power or force. It was about attention. Humanity understood something the Council did not. The galaxy was large, old, and slow. Its systems were strong but fixed. Earth was young, fast, and used to change. The plan began quietly. Human ships did not move into new space with banners or demands. Instead, they followed existing trade paths. They docked where they were allowed. They listened more than they spoke. Human traders noticed patterns others ignored, delays that were accepted as normal, waste that had existed for centuries, systems built long ago and never questioned. They did not insult these systems, they improved them. On one trade station near the edge of council space, goods often arrived late. No one blamed the port masters. The delay was considered part of life. Human logistics teams studied the flow of ships, the timing of signals, and the way information moved. They made small changes. Routes were adjusted, signals were copied instead of replaced. Old systems were allowed to remain, but new layers were added on top. Nothing was forced. Within weeks, delays dropped. The station did not announce the reason. They simply worked better. Similar things happened elsewhere. On a mining world owned by two rival species, disputes over resource sharing were common. Meetings ended with long arguments and no clear result. Human mediators were invited only because no one else wanted the task. They listened. They did not take sides. They asked questions that felt simple but revealed deeper problems. They suggested shared goals instead of fixed demands. The disputes did not vanish, but they changed. Agreements lasted longer, trust grew slowly. No one called it human influence. It was simply easier this way. Back at the council station, analyst Threx noticed the reports. Threx was not a leader or a speaker. Threx watched numbers, trade flow, communication speed, conflict length. These numbers told stories even when voices did not. Something was shifting. Efficiency was rising in areas near human activity. Conflict reports showed lower intensity where humans were involved. Information moved faster with fewer errors. Threx checked the source tags again. Earth. That did not make sense. Humanity had been classified as developing, advisory only, limited reach. And yet their presence was everywhere. Threx brought the data to a senior coordinator. These improvements, Threx said, they are linked. The coordinator studied the charts. Correlation is not cause. Yes, Threx replied, but repetition is not chance. The coordinator dismissed the concern. Humans are helpful, that is not dangerous. Threx did not argue. Analysts learned when to speak and when to wait. Meanwhile, Elena Raman remained active. She did not attend council debates unless invited. She did not challenge decisions. She asked for data access, advisory roles, and observer seats. Each request was reasonable. Each was granted. She listened. She learned how the council thought, what it feared, what it ignored. The council valued stability above all else. Change was seen as risk. Old systems were trusted because they had lasted. Humans thought differently. On Earth, systems broke often. Governments changed. Tools failed. Humanity survived by expecting failure and preparing for it. This difference mattered. When a minor communication fault appeared between two distant council regions, it was first ignored. Such faults happened often and usually corrected themselves. This one did not. Signals slowed. Messages arrived incomplete. Translation systems failed in small but growing ways. At first, it was an inconvenience. Then it became a problem. Trade negotiations stalled. Emergency alerts arrived late. Old resentments began to surface as misunderstandings grew. The council assigned a task group. They worked carefully. They followed established steps. They checked ancient systems one layer at a time. Progress was slow. Elena was invited as an observer. She watched the meetings. She listened to the plans. At the end of one session, she spoke. "May I offer a suggestion?" she asked. The room paused. The lead technician agreed, polite but distant. Elena stood. "You are trying to fix the system as it was designed," she said. "That system assumes perfect function." "That assumption has served us well," the technician replied. "Yes," Elena said, "until it didn't." She suggested adding temporary backup paths, redundant signals, multiple translation layers running at once. "It will be messy," she said, "but it will work." The technician hesitated. "That approach lacks elegance," he said. Elena nodded, "So does survival." The suggestion was noted, not adopted. 3 cycles later, the fault worsened. Entire sectors experienced silence. Panic spread. The council reconvened in emergency session. Voices were raised. Accusations followed. At last, the lead technician returned to Elena. "We will try your method," he said. Human engineers were brought in. They worked fast. They did not remove the old systems. They wrapped them in new ones. Signals were copied, not replaced. Errors were expected and corrected on the move. It was not clean, but it worked. Within days, communication returned, not perfect but stable. Relief spread through the council. Questions followed. "How did humans develop this approach?" one member asked. Elena answered simply, "Things break." That answer was recorded. Threx updated the data. Human involvement now matched major system recovery. This could no longer be ignored. In private, some council members discussed Earth. "They adapt too easily," one said. "They do not respect tradition," said another. "They do not fear failure," said a third. That last comment lingered. Fear of failure was common among the old civilizations. They had built systems meant to last forever. Admitting weakness meant admitting decay. Humans did not share this fear. On Earth, children were taught that mistakes were part of learning. Failure was expected. What mattered was response. This belief now moved among the stars. Not loudly, quietly. The council did not issue a statement. But they began to watch. And for the first time since humanity arrived, the laughter was gone. The silence did not come all at once. It spread. At first, only a few distant systems went quiet. Messages took longer to arrive. Some never arrived at all. Old civilizations had seen this before and believed it would pass, as it always had. This time, it did not. The failure grew like a slow shadow across the stars. Trade stations lost contact with their supply worlds. Medical alerts arrived too late. Navigation data failed to update. Ships waited in safe orbits, unsure if the next jump would be safe. The galaxy was not at war. But it was breaking. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, tension filled the air. The calm voices of earlier cycles were gone. Members spoke over one another. Ancient confidence cracked under growing fear. Speaker Viral watched in silence. The council had been built on order, on systems that lasted thousands of years. The idea that those systems could fail everywhere at once was unthinkable. Yet it was happening. Analyst Threx stood before the central display. The data no longer formed neat lines. It was scattered, uneven, alive. The failures are connected, Threx said, but not in a way our models predict. A council member struck the floor with a limb. Then rebuild the models. We have, Threx replied. They break as soon as we finish them. That word again. Break. Alina Raman sat among the observers. She had not spoken since the emergency session began. She listened as fear filled the room. When Speaker Viral finally looked toward her, the chamber fell quiet. Human representative, Viral said, you have experience with unstable systems. It was not praise, it was not insult, it was fact. Yes, Alina said. Explain, Viral said. Alina stood. Your systems were built to last, she said. Ours were built to survive change. Some members reacted with confusion, others with doubt. Our world has faced collapse many times, Alina continued. Climate failure, resource loss, political division, each time systems failed. And yet you remain, Viral said. Yes, Alina replied, because we expect failure. She moved closer to the display. When something breaks on Earth, we do not ask how to make it perfect again. We ask how to keep going. The council listened. The galaxy is trying to hold itself still, Alina said. That is why it is tearing. A murmur moved through the chamber. Viral considered this. What do you propose? The speaker asked. Alina did not hesitate. Let humans help, she said. Not alone with you, but we must be allowed to work freely. The words that followed were rare in the council chamber. Agreement. Not from all, but from enough. Human teams were deployed across affected systems. They did not arrive with grand designs. They arrived with tools, questions, and patience. On a distant relay world, engineer Keshna watched the humans work. Keshna's species valued precision. Every structure was exact, every process planned. Humans were not like this. They argued openly. They changed plans mid-task. They wrote notes on surfaces meant to stay clean. At first, Keshna believed they would fail. Then the relays stabilized. Human engineers layered simple systems over complex ones. If one failed, another caught the load. If translation broke, multiple languages ran at once. It is inefficient, Keshna said. Yes, a human replied, but it works. That answer appeared again and again. Across the galaxy, humans acted as connectors. They linked species that had never worked together. They explained one culture to another. They translated not just language, but intent. Where fear rose, humans slowed the process. Where anger built, humans redirected it. They did not command. They cooperated. The failures slowed, then stopped. The galaxy breathed again. In the council chamber, Speaker Viral reviewed the final reports. The crisis had not been solved by force or authority. It had been solved by adaptability. By humanity. Elena Raman stood once more before the council. "You did not fix our systems," one member said. "You changed how we think about them." Elena nodded. "That is how we survive." Analyst Threx updated the classification models. They no longer fit. Humanity could not be measured by age, strength, or reach. Their value lay somewhere else. In shared effort. In resilience. In refusal to stop. Speaker Viral rose. "The Council will request a formal address from Earth," Viral said. "You will speak to us fully." The chamber fell silent. This had never been offered to a developing species. Elena felt the weight of the moment. "We will speak," she said. As she left the chamber, Keshna watched her go. For the first time, the engineer felt something unfamiliar. Hope. The laughter was long gone. Now the galaxy listened. The request for a full address from Earth spread through the Council faster than any announcement before it. Messages crossed the stars, carrying the same quiet question. What would the humans say? No developing species had ever been given this chance. Observers could watch. Advisors could suggest. But to speak freely before the Council was a privilege kept for the old powers. Elena Raman understood the weight of it. She did not rush to prepare a speech filled with pride or victory. She did not gather stories meant to impress. Instead, she asked for records, not just Council records, but Earth's own. She studied history. Not the clean version, but the broken one. She read about wars that never should have happened, about borders drawn by fear, about cities lost to fire, water, and time. She read about mistakes that repeated until someone finally learned. This was the story she would bring. On Earth, people watched the news feeds in silence. This moment did not belong to one nation or group. It belonged to everyone who had lived through struggle and chosen not to give up. When the day came, the Council chamber was fuller than ever before. Some members attended in person. Others joined through projection. Even species that rarely spoke now watched closely. Speaker Viral opened the session. "The human representative has been granted full voice," Viral said. "You may speak without limit." The chamber grew still. Elena stepped forward. She did not stand above the others. She stood level with them. "I will not tell you that humanity is strong," she began, "because we are not." That caused movement in the chamber. "We are fragile," she continued. "Our bodies break, our systems fail, our history is full of pain." She paused. "But we are still here." The lights shifted softly. "We survived not because we were better," Elena said. "We survived because we learned to depend on each other." She spoke of early humans who shared fire, of villages built after floods, of nations that learned, slowly and painfully, that cooperation was safer than isolation. "We fought each other," she said. "Often, too often, but every time we came close to ending ourselves, something stopped us." "What?" a council member asked. "Connection," Elena replied. "The knowledge that survival alone is not living." She looked around the chamber. "You built systems to last forever," she said. "We built systems knowing they would fail." Murmurs followed. "When something breaks on Earth," Elena said, "we do not hide it, we argue about it, we protest, we change it." Some members reacted with discomfort. "That chaos," Elena continued, "is how we adapt." She spoke of art created during war, of science born from disaster, of cultures mixing, clashing, and forming something new. "We are not united because we are the same," she said. "We are united because we are different." Silence followed. Speaker Viral watched closely. "You fear instability," Elena said. "We live with it." She lowered her voice. "And that is why we can help." The council did not interrupt. "We do not want to replace your systems," Elena said. "We want to help you survive when they fail." She took a breath. "Because one day they will." That truth hung heavy in the air. Elena did not end with a demand. She ended with an offer. "Humanity does not ask to rule," she said. "We ask to stand with you." The chamber remained silent long after she finished. For the first time in council history, no immediate response followed. Speaker Viral finally rose. "You have spoken of weakness," Viral said, "and called it strength." "Yes," Elena replied. Viral considered this. "We have watched your species closely," the speaker said. "You do not fear being small." "No," Elena said, "we fear being alone." That answer moved through the chamber like a wave. Many of the older civilizations had grown alone. They had solved survival early and then turned inward, guarding what they had built. Humanity had never had that luxury. The council recessed for deliberation. Elena left the chamber unsure of the result. She had not tried to impress them. She had told the truth. Outside, among the stars, ships moved again. Trade resumed. Communication flowed more freely than before. The galaxy felt different. Inside a private chamber, Speaker Viral spoke with analyst Threx. "They are dangerous," Viral said. Threx paused, "because they are powerful." "No," Viral replied, "because they change things without trying to own them." That unsettled many. When the council reconvened, the decision was ready. Elena returned to her place. "Humanity's status will be reviewed," Viral announced. "Immediately." Gasps followed. "This is not yet elevation," Viral continued, "but it is no longer dismissal." Elena bowed her head. "We will speak again," Viral said, "before this is done." As the session ended, Elena felt no victory. Only responsibility. The hardest part was still ahead. But one thing was clear. The council no longer laughed. They listened. The waiting was harder than the speaking. After Elena Raman's address, days passed without answer. The council did not rush. It never had. Decisions that shaped the galaxy were made slowly, with care and caution. Humanity waited. On Earth, people followed every update. News feeds showed the council station, the stars beyond it, and experts speaking in calm voices that hid their fear. No one knew what the final decision would be. Some feared rejection. Some feared acceptance. Elena remained near the council chamber, continuing her work as an observer and advisor. She spoke when asked. She listened always. She did not push. She had learned that pressure closed minds, while patience opened them. During this time, small changes continued across the galaxy. Human networks grew quietly, shared databases, cooperative research teams, mixed crews on trade ships. None of it was ordered by the council, it simply happened. Species that had once avoided each other now worked side by side. Not because they trusted each other, but because it worked. Analyst Threx watched these changes closely. The models still failed to explain humanity. Every measure used before felt incomplete. Humanity did not expand like an empire. It spread like an idea. That idea was simple. You did not need to be perfect to belong. At last, the council reconvened. The chamber was filled again, but the mood had changed. There was less distance now, less certainty. Speaker Viral rose. "The council has reached a decision," Viral said. Elena felt her breath slow. "Humanity has demonstrated value beyond expectation," Viral continued. "Not through dominance, but through cooperation." The words echoed. "The council offers Earth full membership." The chamber stirred. "With resources," Viral added. "With protection, with influence equal to the oldest civilizations." Silence followed. All eyes turned to Elena. She stood. "We are honored," she said. Viral inclined its head. "Then you accept." Elena paused. She looked around the chamber, at beings older than her world, at systems that had shaped history for ages. "We accept membership," she said, "but not the offer as it stands." A wave of reaction moved through the council. "Explain," Viral said. "We do not want special protection," Elena said, "or greater influence than others." Confusion followed. "We propose something else," she continued. She activated a display. A network appeared, simple lines connecting worlds, not borders, not hierarchies. "We propose a cooperative system," Elena said, "one that supports developing species before crisis." Murmurs grew. Shared knowledge, she said. Shared response teams, open systems that adapt instead of lock. Speaker Viral watched closely. You would give this to others, Viral said, freely. Yes, Elena replied. Why, a council member asked. Elena answered honestly. Because someone once helped us, she said, and because no one survives alone forever. The council withdrew again. This time the wait was shorter. When they returned, the decision was final. The council accepts, Viral said. Not just Earth's membership, but Earth's proposal. The Galactic Cooperative Network was approved. Humanity was not placed at the top. They were placed at the center. Months passed. The council chamber changed. Seats were rearranged. New spaces added. Developing species were invited to observe, to learn, to speak earlier than before. The galaxy felt wider. Safer. Elena Raman prepared to return to Earth. Before she left, Speaker Viral spoke to her privately. When you arrived, Viral said, we laughed. Yes, Elena replied. We thought you were small, Viral said. Elena smiled softly. We are. Viral studied her. That was never the weakness, the speaker said. Elena looked out at the stars. Human ships moved among alien ones. No banners, no conquest. Only connection. On Earth, the news finally arrived. Humanity had not conquered the stars. They had joined them and changed them. The council had laughed at Earth until humanity spoke back. Not with weapons, not with fear, but with the simple belief that together, survival could become something more. The stars listened, and this time they answered.